and let me double this, and I'm going to copy some of this file. You are seeing this from build. So we open this Jmeter. Okay, so this is plan. I'm going to copy some of this that user defined variables and create. I'm going to test here, and now I have this method. And let me save this as well. Yes, okay, create. So here is the create key, and we just need thing. Okay, so now here in this API we can see that this booking is created successfully. We get the JSON. So this is the one scenario where we are adding headers. So let's check here. Quickly revise the thing. So we are adding the headers. We need content type and accept. Here we are added. Then we are adding the user parameters, the first name, last name, total price, direction, needs, and those are variable here. And we are just making here CPS, the base URL coming from user defined variables. We have already seen that this if you want to refer this variable, we need to put in the dollar curly braces. So we have added that. If you have import, we can add that. And then here is the path. So CreateBooking, we already defined here path API path. So next is the body. So this is the request body. You can see here. So for like visualize, we can see the test one we added, and then this is a JSON Post-Processor. JSON format Post-Processor. So it will format the response in JSON format, and we got this. So here we can add the JSON extractor to extract the booking ID, and we can save in the booking ID. So for this we don't need this thing now. So we can add a positive analysis grading. Here we can mention the response 200. But when booking is related, we should have a more 01s. But it's the dummy API, so we can keep this as this. Okay. But if you really want to add the assertions, we can add a response assertion. So that response assertion is based on response code, and that is equals to. We can click on add. Here we need to add 200. So that's the 200, and we can verify this again. So here is the create, okay, and the response is positive. So now if you want to assert that with 201, we can do that as well. So it will fail. Okay. So response is such as we have received 200, but we are expecting 201. So it is failed. So let's roll back to 200. Okay. And then it is 200. Now we'll create a booking. Okay. Create a booking with empty body. With empty body. So we are expecting that to be bad request. Let's see what's the response there. So we are not even passing anything here. So let's say, okay, so result is not showing the to just drag and drop the view result tree. So now here we are getting 500 response code. So yeah, it depends like how it is designed, but This is REST-only API, so we cannot say this is right. But yeah, in real-time scenario, it should be 400 bad requests. We don't need this user parameterizers. And when to remove this, yeah, you can do one thing. You can add. So for example, here we are not passing anything empty body. We can also say something like this. We are adding the body. So and you can add the user parameter, the preprocessor, and the user parameter. We can define here user and add variable. Here is the body. Here we can add nothing. Then here we can add just empty curly braces. Okay, something like this, or maybe just empty array. Okay, so or we can add um, null also. So like this, we can verify empty one. Okay, so this we can like how many users? 1, 2, 3, 4. So we just really need to go to number of threads. We need to mention 4, and just let's check what happens. So now here you can see all the body is not present, every banded, curly braces, empty body, and empty body is there, but what happens if we pass out? So we are getting a bad response. So this is the expected response, and we are getting that. So we can how and we can do this in a session. So just need to go to user parameter and add one more variable. So we can add response score here, something like that. And we can add for this empty body, we are expecting 500. We put it such a way that this is 500, 500, 500, and this is 400 we are getting. So with invalid body, you can mention something like this. Here also, and here in the response section, we need to mention something like this variable response score. Okay, so we need to mention something like this dollar variable certain quotes and then response rate. So let's now clear this and run here. Let's see the result. Now you can see this. This is pass, right? And also you can also add the counter here so that we come to know for which user this is running. So let's go to this counter, copy this, and we can add. So the counter will start from 1 for the first user, 2 for the second user, 3 for second, third user, and so on, so forth for fourth user. So let's see now how it's different now. So now you can see here it's like this. Okay, so we can define here run threads groups as get to one. You can save this thing. Okay, one more time, one more time. Now you can see first body is empty, empty versus empty parent brackets, and then okay. So now what? So now we'll create booking with invalid. What parameters are having first name last name. So we create with invalid first name. Similar way, we need to mention here something like this body is there, so we can create this body and add here first name. We'll define here this first name as body, just like earlier I show. So we'll have to follow this approach. So like this, you have to do it. I'm gonna replace this, of course. So here it is, the first name, then this last name, this is total price, and this is deposit paid, this is check-in, this is checkout, this is additional mix. Okay. Now we need to have a user parameter, so I'm going to go and add the post-processor. This is user parameters. Okay. Now here I need to add variables. First, we'll add all the positive variables. So one by one, we'll need to copy. So first name, then this is last name, this is total price, and then deposit paid, then booking dates, and then check-in, and then checkout, and finally additional ones. So here also, first name is Jim. I'm going to copy all the positive values here so that it will come positive. Okay, let me do this and I'll explain it. So let's first add the positive values. Booking dates we don't need. I'm gonna remove this delete variable. Okay, so here also name is, and final value is breakfast. Okay, so yeah, here it is. So valid values, I'm going to keep this, and here we just need to add the first name. Okay, so now let's go first name. Here is the first name. So first name, now this is a string. So instead of that string, I'm going to pass invalid values. So what is this? So first is an integer. I can say like double 1.2, and then I can say boolean value. Then I can define something like null, of course, and add variable, add user. Yeah, if it is a mandatory field, and if I pass an empty string, something like this, then it should give me something uh, bad request, right? Because this is a mandatory field. But yeah, this is a dummy API, so we don't know what is expected here. So we are going to just see and test it like we have seen for this invalid body. So I'm going to refresh this, create a booking with invalid first. Okay, so this is counter and rest is fine. So what is going to happen here in this body? It will take the values, the first name from this user parameters, and then the first name from this. So this is going to override this. So in the first iteration, the first user parameter, it will take all the values this. So in the all iteration, meaning, so there are how many iterations are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I need to keep the 5 number of threads. Okay, and so for each thread, it's going to become this user one value, and for rest of this, the value is going to change. The value is going to override this value. Okay, so now let's check. Okay, so this is equivalent tree. I'm gonna go and drop to this thread root because I copied this, and you start to run and you see the results. Okay, so yeah, this first name is 100 and this is no error, so exactly is 100, so we are getting that. Next is double. First is integer, second is double, third is boolean, fourth is null. Here we get something different. Here also we are getting 500. but we supplied 400. So let's clear this. This is 500. And what about the last one? So here is the last one. Now see here this thing. Assume that this is not mandatory field, so that's why he created the booking. But yeah, it's depend like how it is created in your API. So I'm not going to run with this. I'm going to keep the 4 number of threads as it is. And here now, as you see, the results are like positive, but it is showing in red. So how I'm going to make this as a green? Because my test is passed and it is showing in red. So need to go to response assertion, and here we need to ignore stress. Now let's see how we are going to see the result. Okay. So here also now we can see green instead of 500, and that's what we are expecting here. So now earlier also we did something missed, so I'll just note the status and let's run this also one more time, and let's check here now. This is also working fine. So now I've shown you this negative scenarios for the empty body, invalid body type, and the invalid person. So similarly, we can do it for the rest of the fields. Let me show you one more time for the last one, how we are going to do this for last one. Okay, so let's go to our framework and just right click and duplicate it and replace the first name with the last name. Go to this user parameter instead of first name, we are going to replace this last name. Okay, and then yeah, that's it. So let me just drag this view result tree to this thread group because we have replaced this, and just replace this first name with the last name so that we'll get the last name, the response, and the view result tree. And so yeah, we are getting the expected values here. So now let's see all the different values variable. So now this is a integer and this is a boolean. So now let's do it for total price. This is a we don't know this is an integer or this is double, so let's do this. Okay, so I'm going to duplicate this. I'm going to put this here invalid total price. Now here is the total price also. Now in the parameters also total price. This is string value. I'm going to consider this is string. Now I don't know about this right, but yeah, in the API specification that will be mentioned what is kind of this date time. So other than that, you need to put the value. Now here I see only it is integer, so I'm going to put this as a double, and this true null, and this is a not required again. So now let's check what happens. I'm going to drag and drop this view result tree on this price, and then let's see what happens. So now these results are something different. Now see in this scenario, this total price is a string I passed, and this looking is created, but in the response you see the total price is null, meaning whatever the value you have passed, it has not considered, meaning it has treated this value as a null, whatever the value that you have passed. In this scenario, this total price is true, it has considered as null, and the token is created. Now in this scenario, the total price we are directly passing null, and it has given the internal server name. So yeah, this API is dummy and just reiterating, so we can ignore this thing, and as per your requirement you can add the assertions. Okay, so like this we can automate the rest of the fields, Okay, now let's check for this last one. So this is the definite type. This is the boolean. So well, we have seen the string, we have seen the number, we have seen, I don't know what is this data type, it's number, or we can say this integer or boolean, and it's reading as number, but it is mentioned as a integer, then we can pass boolean also, or vice versa, and then we can check the response as well. So in that case, it should give the bad address mentioned as per documentation. But yeah, now let's see the deposit. So this is boolean, so we can pass other than boolean. So let's check for this boolean value. Sorry, my bad. I'm just switching up with and just close this. Okay, now we have only one. So this we can duplicate and we can create booking with invalid deposit paid. We can create your deposit paid and just need to add the deposit paid. Now this deposit paid is the boolean one. So we are just adding one here again. This is one. This is integer. This is double. This is of true. We can mention this true in double quotes so that it will treat as a string. We are then passing null, and that's all. So now just will drag this user tree to this thread group and we'll run. Okay. So now let's see the response. Now the response is 200, so it has treated this value and what is okay. So the default value deposit rate that we are passing one that has treated as a true for our second one deposit paid 1.2. So it has to, so it doesn't matter what value you are passing, it is going to treat as a true default value. Now let's see what about this. This is true, we have passed as a string, it has treated as true. This is also defect. What about the null? So it has passed. So see, this API is not developed as per our standard expectation, but we can ignore this thing and like I said, you can just implement in your framework so that you can verify this thing. Okay, so with different set of values, you can do this data-driven test. Okay, so now one more thing here. Now this is we are creating booking. Okay, so now we have a user parameters here, and we have this request form. Now, as you can see, this body is first name we can give anything, last name we can give anything. We don't know here the what are the mandatory fields and what are the non-mandatory fields. So, meaning we can create two positive scenarios with mandatory booking and non-mandatory booking. So we can mention this with create booking with all field values, and here also we can create with only mandatory field values, and we are expecting the response code as 200. Here I haven't mentioned because we don't know that here what we are getting here. We are getting the different values. So this like we can mention and we don't know what the mandatory fields. We can just ignore this deposit paid and let's see what happens. Okay, I'm just assuming this. If we are not passing the value, what are we getting? Okay, again, the same picture, we need to drag and drop this because we copied this thing. And now let's see. Now this is giving 500 internal server error because we haven't passed the value. So yeah, like this, you can extract this. Okay, we can just to mention, we can have this type of test case. Now another test case, we can add something like a negative test case, like let's say this is only mandatory fields. We can create one more time, but here we are not using this scenario. I don't know even for the mandatory non-mandatory, so I'm just going to disable this thing. Okay, so now I'm going to create a negative value. So create booking uh, with mm, lack of first name, right? Lack of first name, so without we can say a lack of without first name. So we can just pass the first name here. We don't need other values, so we can see what the response is coming up here. Okay, I'm going to run this thing. I first need to drag this and start. So we are getting the 500 server error. We have just passed the first name. So of course this is also the negative test, and similarly we can also add negative test for the rest of the mandatory fields also. So just we have added the first name. Similarly, we can add without last name. Sorry, without with only so. Sorry, my bad. Create booking with only. Okay, so so we can. Okay, just a little confused. Okay, we can create booking without uh, create booking on only. So okay, can take it something like this. Okay, without first name. So let's say first name is mandatory, and let me just update the body here. I'm going to copy this body. I'm going to add the body here. I'm going to remove the first name, and we are just assuming that all the fields are mandatory, and we are not passing the first name. So what happens? So we'll see this. Okay, once more time. So now here we are just trying to create booking, but it has not created because the first name is, I assume that this is a mandatory field, so we are getting 500, and we just need to ignore the status also. So let's run this one more time. So this is the first name missing, the response request body, so we are unable to create booking. Now similar fashion we can, without last name, we can create another, copy this, and we can add something like this. Instead of first last name, we try first name. Okay, and doesn't matter what the value is going to come up. Okay, so we did for without first name, we are doing for without last name. We do drag and drop this, and then just run this. So now here also we are getting it, and response assertion will ignore the status. We run one more time, and you can see now this is working fine. So likewise, we can create a negative scenarios. We have seen this positive scenario like with all the field values, with only mandatory field values, and if you have combination values, we can, for example, now in this body, we have a deposit paid. So deposit paid can be true or false. Okay. Sometimes you have the set of values, so you can just wanted to verify this. So you can add the user parameter, and then you can create a number of users, and then you can run your test accordingly. So just for now, I'll give the example here. So now here, let me just add one more um, user parameter. Okay, And now here I have a deposit paid. I'm going to make this as variable. Okay, so something like this, deposit paid, and I'm going to add the variable deposit paid, and let me create a true first time, and need to add one more user, and this is false. So this is a deposit paid, and this will run two times. The first time the value is going to remain same, this, and the value is going to be set like true and false. First time it will take all these values with the deposit paid as true, and second time it will take all these values and the deposit paid as false. So let's check now. Okay, and one more thing, we need to update the number of threads also. So now let's check start, and then you can see the result also here. So now here you can see this deposit paid is true. In this second scenario, you can see deposit paid is false. Now if you want to add the assertion also, we can do that also. We can do something like this and add assertion. We can add a JSON assertion, and here we need to add path. So we can first we can add the JSON assertion uh, where we have the view result tree. Now here in the response we have something like this. We inside the booking we have a deposit paid. So I'm going to add the assert the JSON path exists. So that will be starting with the dollar. Okay. So dollar dot this will come with the booking first, right? So this is booking and then dot with the deposit rate. So because see here, if I just try to verify my response body here, you can see the text in the view result tree. You can just switch to JSON path tester, and you can put your JSON path here, and you can click on test. You just need to drag here, right? And you can just click on test. So now it is giving the value as false. If I put it here, so I can test it here, well, it is true. So if you want to verify for first name, let's say, so you can, instead of, let me just replace this deposit pay with the first name here, so we can test the value this coming up. So I'm just going to switch back to the text, so you can do that JSON testing here. Um, I'm going to just add the response assertion as a deposit paid um, assertion, and I'm going to value assert this value also, additional insert value. Expected value, I'm going to take this add because I'm going to copy this from body because I just want to assert whatever the values applied that is coming upon. Now let's run more time and let's see the result. Okay, now this time deposit paid. The value expected matched true but did not match true. Okay, so now here match your regular expression. You need to just disable this thing. I hope you need to add a counter first to identify its correct value. Okay, that we are getting it. So now I'm going to clean this and one more time, and yeah, now this time this has passed. Okay, so now it has become true value. Here see true is not the string value. Okay, so this is treated as a value here in this scenario. Okay, match as a regular expression. We are not, we are just expecting as a value. So that's why it's coming. But if you're expecting null something, you can verify. Now in this scenario, also if we are expecting some booking ID in the response, we can assert that also. So we can add the JSON assertion and we can add the booking ID assertion. We are expecting something this booking ID in the response, so we can add booking ID, can add directly dollar, sorry, directly booking ID, or we can add the dollar and then dot booking ID. So we can test this out in the view result tree. So we go to view result tree, switch text to the JSON path tester. We can add here the JSON path and we can click on test. So yes, we are getting the booking ID value as 3109. So this JSON path is correct. So we are going to just check this path is exist or not. Obviously, when the booking is created, then only we will see the booking ID in the response. So we are just verifying this thing. Okay. So yeah, likewise we can assert the response just like showing you deposit paid, and we can assert another field values also. Now in this scenario, if I put the first name here, it's not gonna work because every time this first name is going to generate random number. So this won't work. But of course, if I add the fixed value, just like the deposit paid, here we have fixed value, so we can verify like this. But now this is a random number, we don't know the next value, so it's going to change it. It's a random string, its limit is 10, so it can pick up any character from this and it will generate a 10 character string like this. And this is also like this. Now from it will generate random 0299999 number. Okay, so that's going to come into the total price. Okay, 4-digit number. So yeah, these are the positive scenarios we have seen, and this is a negative scenario. One more thing, you can add the negative scenario, for example, like the headers. Okay, so you can in the headers, you can just now see here we don't have any token value, so you can add the scenarios for missing token, invalid token, empty token, or missing this content type, except header, and we can verify that. Also, in the positive scenario, you can add one more assertion. You can add the response headers assertion. So we can do that text response, response code, response headers. Okay, so we can verify that also. Okay, so I hope you and one more thing. So once you do this thing, we need to store this in the report. So we can add. Let me add this listener view result tree, and here I need to do the report. So I'll just create one more folder here, and I'll just create a report. Okay, and inside this report, I am going to give the report name as XML. So we can save the report as XML or CSV. So I would suggest to store the data in XML result because it gives you flexibility to read the previous response also. But in CSV, we don't have this option. Okay, so let's see both of these results. Okay, now this is the XML report, and this is the configuration here you have. And as you can see, save as XML, we are going to see. I'm going to disable this CSV. We need all the field values, okay, except the XML CSV. I mean, So we are going to save it all done. Okay, now I'm going to save it. We'll see the configuration one more time. Now see, this is not saved. Okay, so we're just going to see. Okay, um, anything else? Okay, we are good. So if you want success or failures, we can store that also. Okay, now let's me save this and let me check again. Okay, so now this time has saved configuration. Now I'm going to run this test plan. Okay, now this is creating booking. Okay, positive scenario, we can see the values. Creating booking, this creating booking is without first name, then creating booking, this is without last name. Okay, you can see last name is not there. Then create booking with invalid body that we saw earlier, null value. Then this is invalid first name. This is we are giving the integer. Then this is double. Then this is boolean, and then this is null value. Similarly, we have another negative test, and all tests are run here. So now, if I go to this location, let me go to this location. Now we can see this create booking is having XML data. Okay, now just if I open this, so now you can see the report, something like this. Here you can see everything. So here you have this response body, I guess response headers. Yeah, response headers, response body. Here you can see, and this is the post request, and this is okay API call that you can see. So all the requests we can see here. Okay, now let's say if you want to view these results in the future also, so how we can see, I'm just duplicating this. Now I don't have any results here, right? So I'm just going to put the path here and I'm going to press the enter. So now you see I can see the result, previous result also. So this is the beauty of XML report. So I always prefer XML or CSV. Now let's see what about the CSV also before just coming to this. So now let's say this, I'm going to put this as a CSV. Okay. Now here I'm going to save this, but yeah, before that we need to configure the CSV. Here we need to remove the XML because this is the XML format and we don't want to see save the request headers. We don't get request headers. We don't get sample data, response data because these are XML, response headers also, search and result also. So these are the important things from the result point of view we don't get. Let me just see the configuration one more time. So yes, this configuration is saved. Now when I'm going to run this report, because this is already saved, so it's gonna ask me whether you want to override this or append this. So now let's run this thing and we'll see. I'm just going to change this as a create booking one, and this one is the create booking.csv. Okay, now let's run and see. I'm just here and let's see now. So this is the XML report and this is CSV report. You can of course rename this CSV report and you can keep this as an XML report. Okay, now once this is done, you can see. Okay, so now this is done. Now let me open this report. Okay, now this is CSV report. You can see. Let me open this. in Excel. We'll see how it looks like. So now here you can see all the fields are in the Excel. Create booking response code, you can see response message, you can see trade name, you can see URL, uh, you can see the field values, connection count, and that's it. We don't know what is the body, right? We don't know response body. What is the response header? What is the request header? We don't know this thing, right? But when we look at the XML report that we already saw, so here this is the previous report. So you can have everything, whatever you're passing, you have here response code, response message, okay, what time you have sent this request, everything you can see here, okay. You can see the request type, request body, request headers, you can see response data, response headers, everything you can have the XML. So this is good. This is much better as over the CSV report. So yeah, so in this tutorial we just saw like how we can create one test framework for the one particular API. So for the API, just we saw how we can add a positive scenario, okay, for all the fields value. Then you can see only the mandatory values. Then we can see this little combination of different values like because when we have. So we can how we can just parameterize this and verify. So let's say if you have another let's say array, so arrays values, different array set of values you can have, then you can add that also, okay. And then we can see only mandatory fields, then without just removing the mandatory fields, we can see the result, what is negative test over there. Then the invalid body value, invalid body, we saw like we have empty curly brace, empty array, and then null. And then the invalid first invalid, so meaning the value that they are expecting is a string, but instead of string we are passing the different parameters just like integer, double, boolean, null. And similarly for the rest of the values, so we can add, and then we finally see like the XML report and CSV report. But yeah, also you can add the additional negative test cases depending upon the header manager. But right now this API don't have any token, so you can add the invalid token values or missing tokens or invalid content type or invalid accept header value. So likewise you can add the test for headers also. So I hope you like this tutorial. So thank you so much for watching this entire video. Have a great day guys. Bye. Take care.